Anchor is a fantastic platform for podcasting. It's so simple. It's remarkable. Even I could do it. And it's free distribution, free recording, easy, simple, elegant to use framework, great tools. If you're going to pick one podcasting platform, it should definitely be Anchor. I highly recommend it. Artificial intelligence monetization in Google. The content for this podcast comes from my book, The Future of Everything. You can receive a free copy of each of my 8 bestsellers at alexhammerbooks.com. Artificial intelligence monetization in Google. Google Search monetizes AI by using AI to make search and its search products more relevant, precise, and efficient. Google's core emphasis on search provides it with a major AI advantage baked into its business model. Search is a data scientist and machine learning professional's dream. What's not to love? Your entire core, parentheses search, and the parentheses, business is data. Google Search has data on a perhaps unprecedented scale because of the volume of its users and the volume of searches. The scale of data is the critical, parentheses, or at least a critical, end of parentheses, factor for successful AI in regards to the success of machine learning algorithms and processes. Search by its nature is algorithmic, which is at the core of AI. Google search data for any individual is gained over time, allowing machine learning to gain greater insight. Parentheses, actually predictive understanding. Insight still remains a human characteristic. End of parentheses. Into how each person learns and evolves in their search behavior, from which it can infer thinking patterns, including a refined understanding of the holy grail of AI monetization in consumer behavior, intent. Intent is the holy grail of AI monetization for consumer behavior because pattern recognition without intent is like correlation, which doesn't prove causation. It's like a phone before it became connected to the internet and became a smartphone. Data without intent is what you say. Data with intent is what you mean. It is directional. It is focused. Intent is at the heart of today's efforts in smart AI because it goes beyond the pattern recognition data mining of large data sets to forming hypotheses in real time in regards to future actions that are tested and refined to become more accurate. We call this learning. Intent needs to be at the heart of AI monetization for Google Search. Google search results have traditionally returned many, many pages of results for search queries, sometimes millions of results, because Google has been better at knowing what you say than what you mean. And because what you say can have many, many different interpretations in regard to what you mean, many responses are required because Google does not have the higher degree of confidence in regards to which response is correct. Parenthesis, although ranked responses does reflect a hierarchy of confidence for each answer. End of parentheses. This lack of understanding of intent gives rise to Google's large number of responses. Maybe you mean this. Maybe you mean that. Human beings are naturally hardwired as a survival mechanism to continually make judgments in regard to intent. Although there are many cognitive biases in human thinking, and perception is not the same thing as reality, there is a generally shared consensus that we all operate with in the world. For example, while we each may have different associations, etc., for the word sad, if someone asks you, can you tell me a time when you felt sad? Most of us would generally have a shared understanding of what this question means. Google would recognize, can you tell me a time when you felt sad, as a question, but in its current query-based form has a harder time with context. Is the questioner asking when Google felt sad? Is it asking for information about when other people felt sad? And if so, what other people? Is the question referencing something from popular culture, such as a line in a movie? Is it teasing? Is it being sarcastic? Is it a rhetorical question? Understanding intent is critical to monetization. The greater I understand your intent, the greater I understand your wants and needs. The greater I understand your wants and needs, the more precisely and fully I can meet them, which is another form of saying the better I can monetize them. The less I understand your intent, the more diffuse my response and the less confidence I have in any one response. Did you mean this? Did you mean that? Every search is an intention. The searcher wants to know, for example, what the upcoming weather forecast is in Cincinnati, or who are the top prospects currently in the NFL draft, or what are some recipes for quiche. Intention provides structure. Otherwise it is, as the famous expression states, only garbage in, garbage out. A data mess scales as the data itself scales. So if your data is a mess, going to big data just creates a hot mess. Google search is the heart of Google, but for its AA processes, it is also additionally powerful advantage for monetization by a host of other inputs about you from its other services, including YouTube and Google Maps, to name only a few, but only if it understands your intent. When your behavior on Google Search, Gmail, YouTube, and Google more accurately defines your intents, parentheses, as intent is plural, end of parentheses, and combines these where possible, then fewer but more targeted product offerings can meet more of your needs with greater efficiency in less time. Google potentially knows an incredible amount about you. Even the far-reaching Android could perhaps contribute to the mix. But Google's lack of reach and success in product-based e-commerce relative to Amazon, for example, indicates that Google's monetization results with AI are narrow. But money is money, and AdWords, for example, is still an incredible source of monetization upon which to build. The point is that the real cash cow of the future of Google would be its ability to use AI to invade and conquer other large markets in which it is currently not a major player. Here's a critical takeaway. Just as technology has promoted scale and consolidation within most industries, entire industries themselves have the possibility of being consolidated in the future through the successful implementation of AI. The monetization effects of that would be unprecedented.